Hey everybody, I'm Nick Layton.
And I'm Leah Bottima.
And we're the hosts of Were You Raised by Wolves?
Each week we try to make the world a kinder, nicer place.
Well, that's the idea, at least.
I mean, we try.
Have you ever wondered what to do if you're ghosted?
Or what to do when a friend asks you to borrow money?
Or the proper way to eat Cheetos?
You know, the big questions.
So please find Were You Raised by Wolves wherever you listen.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Since 2009, HRN podcasts have been exploring the wide world of food, beverage, and agriculture. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by the second annual Catskill Cuisine Festival. Visit catskill-cuisine.com to learn more and buy tickets.
We talk about food. We talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Hello and welcome to Snacky Tunes. I'm your host, Darren Bresnitz. Today we are talking with Sasha Zabar from the legendary Zabar family and owner of Glace, one of the most exciting new ice cream shops in New York City. We talk about growing up in the grocery store, his heading out to hospitality school, and him coming back into the family fold and starting his own business with his dad and brother. And then it's a dip into the archives where we sit down with Prima from singer-songwriter Rose Blanche. She came by to talk about her primary debut album, Lightning, Dirt, Metals, and Debt, which was released in the summer of 2017. And she shared some live tracks with us then. Also, if you hadn't had a chance, please go to heritageradionetwork.org to check out the contest we're running across America where you can win dinner and a show for two and support the network at the same time. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy Snacky Tunes here on HRN. Sasha, legendary New York family, coming to us live from New York. Thank you for taking time to sit down and chat with us on Snacky Tunes.
Thank you for having me.
Zabar, I remember going up from Philadelphia and hanging out with my family and going shopping, or if anyone came down from New York and they brought a bag of goods from your family's stores, it was always a treat. What was it like, or what is it like being part of a truly well-known New York family that's woven into the fabric of everyday life?
Well, my grandfather started Zabar's after immigrating from Ukraine in the early 1900s, and my two uncles run Zabar's to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley and Saul, who are both over 90 and continue to go to work and show up every day.
Wow.
My dad Eli, who was kind of the youngest of the three brothers, he's younger than Stanley by 12 years. He kind of split off in the early 70s and started his own business, first with EAT and then with Eli's Bread, Eli's Essentials. So, Zabar's is a important part of my upbringing, important part of our family and culture. But I spent most of my time working with my dad on what we call the East Side Zabar's.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which, if you talk to anyone from New York, the West Side and the East Side might as well be two different countries at times.
Definitely. But it's a very close family, and it's intertwined, and we do coffee tastings together. We do cabinet tastings together. We're always comparing notes and help each other.
There's something so intimate about, and I know you have restaurants and eateries, but like being a grocer in the city, because you really are a part of people's daily lives. And even if they're not at the physical spot, they're having your wares in their house. How do you and your family feel about being that integrated into so many New Yorkers' homes and lives?
I mean, it's an amazing thing. And I think, we always had very loyal customers, but during COVID, you really kind of saw how important we were, and how nervous, anxious people were, and cleaning groceries in the hallway and sanitizing them. But because they knew that maybe it had been the same delivery. The same delivery driver for 20 years. They let him up, or they trusted us. They trusted us into their homes. They trusted us to deliver groceries. They trusted our store. They trusted the quality of the food. And there was an amazing outpouring of gratitude. And it was very touching. I mean, there were, customers who would send different employees, money or cash tips as a thank you. It's very heartwarming. And we know our customers. I would say that, and that's one of the things about the retail business is, from Glace to Eli's to Zabar's, your regulars, each person, their family members, their housekeepers, their drivers. I mean, it's like every part of life from, their preferences.
I'm sure so many of the customers have seen you grown up at the store.
Exactly.
And now that you're in your 30s and you have Glace and you're involved in the business, you've probably seen some of their kids have kids and grow up. So what was it like growing up in your dad's store? How early were you in there working? Were you just running around, stealing rugula, or, were you actually like stocking shelves and helping out?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in New York, and when all my friends would go away for spring break or Christmas, we would be, working. It was always kind of part of the family, which was like we didn't leave until January 1st because Q4, Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, that was the busy time. And then the summer was traditionally the slow period when all the schools were out and all the families went away to wherever they go, and we would take vacations and in the summer. But both my brother and I grew up working in the business. I worked from a very young age in the cheese department, selling caviar, truffles during Christmas, helping pack the catering orders. Even during COVID, for important customers, if it was necessary, I'd jump in my car and drive the order out to the Hamptons.
Wow.
We really do have this do whatever it takes attitude.
Do you feel the pressure? Because it is generational. There's no question about it wanting to continue and having it to be continue. And, you went to work for your father at a young age and you've opened businesses with your father and your brother, but you're born into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I think my dad was very good from a young age and not. There was pressure to work, but there wasn't pressure to join the business. Even recently we were talking about kind of Glace expansion.
Sure.
And he said, before you sign this lease, think about, is this really what you want to be doing? And I kind of said, I think it's a little late to go to medical school. But it's like, if we're not doing this, what would I be doing? But I think the pressure is more generational pressure of how things were done before and how a younger generation, myself and my brother included, think things should be done going forward. And I think whether that's technology, whether that's the internet, whether that's apps, whether, what loyalty program, whatever it is, there's kind of this generational gap over how things should be done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and you have great teachers within the family, but I also feel that sometimes it's good to get an outside perspective. And I know that you wound up leaving the city a little bit and going to hospitality school. What made you want to go and get a proper academic education or something else? Because you could have easily just been like, I'm rolling right out of high school into the business.
Yeah. I went to Fieldston, which is kind of like a private high school in New York. It's kind of like a more liberal arts kind of, environment. Whereas most of my friends went to kind of smaller liberal arts schools after high school, I felt like I did want more of a kind of business or pre-professional approach. And I think, to me, the hotel school was very attractive from that perspective. And the hotel school in reality is really just kind of an undergraduate business school. It has a focus on hospitality.
Sure.
Especially now where they've kind of merged a lot of the kind of undergrad. I think they've even merged the hotel school with the business school, that most of the graduates go into, finance, real estate, more traditional kind of business backgrounds. But I think I thought I wanted to just more of a, I don't know. It made sense. I was coming from a hospitality background. It made sense to go to a more hospitality focused program.
Sure. And I have to imagine that, well, some people might question what they're going to do after college. Moving back to New York was probably always part of your plan. Was working in some of the top restaurants at the time always part of that plan, or did you sort of come to that while you were studying?
Yeah, I definitely was not part of the plan. I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't. It was kind of a circuitous route. I mean, I was at the hotel school for 2 years, and then I honestly, I just didn't love it. I just didn't like. I didn't like being in Ithaca. I didn't like how cold it was. I didn't like how isolating it felt.
Sure.
And even though I made great friends and had a good time, I was in some ways kind of homesick. So I came back to New York and worked for 2 years in restaurants because it's kind of like the only thing I really knew how to do, and then after 2 years of that, I kind of was like, I want to go back and finish and get graduate. But it was a great experience. I mean, just from an operations perspective, these kind of really good restaurants, there's a real hierarchy and there's so much structure that goes into it. And it's very regimented, from preparing each dish to how the stations are set up to inventory to, everything, cleanliness. It was a really good experience.
And the restaurant scene at that time, what year was this? Do you have any stories to share? Did you ever consider staying in that world of, let's say, fine dining?
I think at the time it was just like it was a job, even though it was a job that I was very interested in. I don't think I went into it thinking I wanted to be an executive chef. But this was, 2010. So, 10, 12, 15 years ago. And I can't remember, at the time, I worked for some of John George's restaurants. I worked for like a larger group called Patina Group. They were fun pieces, it was like the camaraderie is always fun but you like end your shift at like 1:00 at night and you're like so riled up from like it feels like a race, it's like you get in and it's like a race to get everything ready for service, and then service hits and it's a race to get every dish out and and then it's clean up and you're like, 1:00, you're wide awake. Everyone else is sleeping, and then you go, you stay out late, you go home, you go to sleep at 3 or 4 in the morning, and it's like you're kind of a vampire. I mean, you're like, you're sleeping when everyone else is up, and you're working long periods at a time, and I remember the biggest takeaway was like how hard it was to like get like normal things done,
Sure.
like a doctor's appointment or like
laundry,
laundry, or like go to the bank, because it's like by the time you got yourself together, everything was closed, and so and you go to work at 1 or 2, and so it's like it was a kind of crazy, weird, it was a crazy experience.
Well, let's take a quick musical break, and when we come back, I want to talk about you getting back into business really officially with your family, the eventual opening of Glace, and what we can expect as summer is just around the corner. We have a song from the archives here on Snacky Tunes on HRN.
Back
Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We're chatting with Sasha Zabar, owner of Glace, and you've realized that maybe the fine dining restaurant industry isn't for you. And it sounds like it was a little lonely. And I have to imagine, compared to like working with your family and being surrounded by customers that have known you forever and vice versa, starts to pull on you. So when do you start thinking about returning to the fold, and what do you want to do when you go back? Do you want to go right back into the dad's store? Do you want to open up your own spot? What's your thought process around this time?
Yeah, so I left kind of working in restaurants in New York. I went back to school. I did, finished 2 more years at Cornell, finished, and then I started a couple of businesses with a friend of mine who was living in New Haven at the time. And those were all amazing experiences. And we had a kind of a really fun run doing a bunch of different things, from a juice bar on Yale's campus to manufacturing. And then it basically got to the point where I was like, I don't want to split my time between New York and New Haven anymore. And my brother had just opened a bar on the Lower East Side. And when they had rented the space, my dad had rented a space next door to kind of do a small bakery. And he hadn't gotten it open, and he needed help. And it seemed like a kind of great opportunity to come back to New York and get back into the business. And so, and at the time we still have a large wholesale bakery called Eli's Bread, which is kind of a very early, just in the same way that, like you're saying, LA has had this kind of, bread revolution, improvement. When he started his business in 1973, there was no decent bread. So he started doing it himself, and sourdough and kind of, breads and ficelles and baguettes and brioche. And so the bakery had gone through a big change. Prior to 2008, every restaurant you went to that was decent had a bread basket. It was like you were a good restaurant, you were given a bread basket when you sat down. And I think the recession happened in 2008, and like the first thing restaurants cut back on was bread service.
Or started charging for it. Now
it's coming back as like a premium product, good butter, good bread. But before it was kind of like just to to welcome you.
Yeah.
And also like labor had in New York had gone from $7 an hour to $15 an hour, and the business was like too big to to compete with the little guys and too small to compete with the big guys. And so it was kind of like, let's get this retail bakery open and let's do a deep dive into the wholesale bread business. And that was a great learning experience, a good time to work with my family. And then COVID hit. And, I was not the first one to identify COVID, but I kind of quickly realized that it was going to substantially change the business. And we kind of it was a kind of exciting time. It was a scary time, but an exciting time because it felt like we had to make change so quickly.
Sure.
And kind of like before it really hit, and like before everyone else did, and this was before the government stepped in and kind of offered relief packages to everyone. So it was like I could see how this could snowball into something like way bigger. And we have hundreds of employees, and what happens if we have to start laying some of them off? So it was kind of like a war room, in the first 2 weeks, but we came out of it in really good shape because we had all these bread vans that were delivering, wholesale bread. And when all the hotels and kind of caterers shut down, we basically used all our transportation network to start delivering groceries.
Wow, there you go.
So it was a good pivot, and it got us through COVID, and at the same time trying to modernize kind of our back end systems. Like how we do we know who's ordering? Do we know how often they order? Do we know what they like?
Sure.
Can we track the package? Can we track the delivery? Can we get it to them when we say we're going to get it to them? And so that was kind of 2 years during COVID, and then through a number and then I wanted to do my own thing, and it didn't have to be like full time, but I just wanted like the creativity. Working in a family business, you're kind of
well, it's that tradition. It's that legacy, right?
Exactly. And so we were partners in a gluten-free bakery called No Glue that was based out of Paris. Kind of the U.S. operating partners. And during COVID, they had a small space on the Upper East Side. And during COVID, we moved them to a larger space that came available on the corner. But because we both had a lease and the new space was a co-op and didn't allow cooking, we had to keep the old space, but the retail portion of it was empty. And so during COVID, I bought an ice cream maker and I've been making my own ice cream.
Right. We all had, my sourdough's still going. It's in the kitchen right now, 4 years in.
Good. And so we had some of the equipment that because of in our commissary. And so I said, I'm going to, growing up, I grew up in the neighborhood and growing up, there had been an ice cream shop called Mr. Chips, and then it got out of business and it became Ciao Bella, which was kind of an early. New York, and they both failed inevitably, but I thought, I'm going to do a neighborhood ice cream shop and make everything ourselves and really good quality ingredients, but do it my way, kind of with make flavors that I like with good ingredients and. So we opened June 1st as Glace, and the idea was it was in the beginning, because it was in the no glue space. One, it was gluten free, which is not that hard with ice cream, but it just means the stuff you put in it and the cones and stuff like that.
The brownie mix, right, for the smushins and all that stuff.
Exactly. And then and also I wanted to get open before the summer. So by the time I made up my mind, and we basically had 6 weeks, and I didn't want to put a lot of money into it because it was still kind of a new thing, and I didn't even have that much money, but so we got it built in 6 weeks for like $25,000. Basically, bought a dipping case and some equipment, a freezer, and built the store ourselves, and. The first 2 weeks were amazing. It was like every day was busier than the next, and it was just growing. And I was like, this is amazing. Right. And then all the kids went on vacation, summer vacation.
Oh yeah. People forget that New York empties out.
Especially on the East Side.
The East Side, and on the weekends, especially, people are going to the Hamptons or on vacation, things like that.
And so it was like 2 weeks. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. And then it was like, slowed down, and it was still good, but it was like that was kind of the new reality. And so we had a good first summer, and then going into September, I was like, September is going to be the best month ever. Everyone's back, weather's good, and then it rained for every weekend for 7 weekends in a row.
Yes,
September, and then October came around, and October was cold. And by the beginning of November, I was kind of like, what am I doing?
Sure.
And the biggest thing is we had very little overhead, and the rent wasn't so bad, and I didn't have a big investment, but the less successful Glace was, the less time I could spend on it, and so it became, if it was where's there's always more important work, bigger projects. But I liked it, and I wanted to spend time on it. But if it was slow, I couldn't. And
why was that though? Is that just the business side of you that was like the cost return on my time investment isn't worth it? Even though ironically, that's when you really need to be investing.
I know
most time.
combination of that, and I think also, I'm still working for my dad at the time.
Sure, right. Your dad's like, cute project kid. We got 100-year business to maintain.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but I wanted to give it one more push. I was like, I have to figure out something for winter. Otherwise, I'm gonna need to either shut down for maybe 2 months or do, I don't know, do something. So I went to a coffee trade show and I bought got a end of the weekend special, because they didn't want to send it back to California.
Right.
I bought a espresso machine and a grinder, and I was like, we're going to do a kind of hot drinks menu and try and make it fun. And we're going to do like a delicious kind of French style hot chocolate with this kind of marshmallow rim that, because we had done like baked Alaska sundaes and we had meringue, and I kind of was like, I can change the recipe and kind of make it work. And so I played around the recipe and kind of wanted to make it more like a marshmallow, a little chewier, a little meltier when you torched it, and and ended up with a kind of hot drinks menu, like an Einspana from Vienna, and I can't remember something from Turin.
But pulling all the stuff, because your family was always pulling
exactly
recipes and ingredients, introducing stuff, caviar, whatnot, to this part of New York.
Exactly. So it was things from travels and And
were you in Paris a lot? Did you spend a lot of time in France? Is that
yeah. We did growing up, kind of summers for work and visiting purveyors that my family worked with and ordered from. Cheese manufacturers, wine producers.
That's right, because you guys brought Brie to America, right? Or Brie to the masses, if you will.
Exactly. And so it was slow in the beginning, but it started around like Thanksgiving. I don't know, a couple of influencers came in,
sure,
and posted, and then it just took off. It was absolutely crazy. It was like every day was twice as busy as the day before, and it was very, very quickly kind of gained momentum. This and I wish I was smarter and called it something more original. By the time it was kind of the s'mores hot chocolate, because it had the marshmallow.
But I mean, what, like outside of Cronut?
Exactly.
It's like, it is what it is. It's just don't underestimate the simplicity of people punching in best hot chocolate in New York when they're visiting in the winter.
Exactly. And so it just took off. It changed the business. Completely changed the business. Our worst day now is better than our best day when we were selling ice cream. There were lines around the block, and
you just taking screenshots at the end and sending them to your dad. You're like, I'd love to come back to the store, but
that's kind of what happened. It's like, no, I mean, it was more like, I think there's an opportunity here. I think,
yeah.
I think I can turn this into a real business, and I'm still working on it. It's like, that's like one of the things about Instagram and social media and food trends is like, it hits and you gotta keep working on it, and keep coming up with new things and keep feeding the machine.
Well, I think the counter to that is that's a great way to start. It's a great way to get people to come in and you get to that people coming into New York and they want to get their own photo of that. But what it sounds like you really have created is a community spot for people who want ice cream in the summer and hot chocolate in the winter. And it's definitely following in that tradition of what, your family did, which is creating a grocery store for the community. And I've always found that it's the community, the neighborhood spots that survive and thrive and last long after the media comes and the influencers have moved on to something else.
Definitely. I mean, it's like, that is what the store started as. And I think that is what's kind of where we're going, which is, one, like, use the best ingredients. 2, it needs to look good, and then make it fun. And I think as long as each idea and product meets those kind of 3 criteria, it'll continue to be a success.
So listen, summer's around the corner. I mean, I know that there are now 11 seasons in New York, and it's sort of fall, spring, summer, rainy times right now. But we all know that the heat is coming.
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught flat-footed again.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prep? How are you bulking up? What are you excited about flavor-wise this summer? Was there something that you didn't get to try? Because I know you do a lot of seasonal flavors.
Yeah. I would say the what I'm the most excited about. Well, one, it's it sounds a little cliche, but I'm really excited about this frozen hot chocolate that we're working on.
Great.
And everyone's like, "Well, frozen hot chocolate, that's a oxymoron." And but
you're like, "Yes, I'm aware."
Yes, exactly.
I went to college. Yes.
Yeah, you get it. You can't be hot and cold at the same time. But okay, but it's it should be like just a delicious, refreshing, chocolatey treat that has this delicious toasted marshmallow and a kind of crispy chocolate. And we're still working on the flavors, but that's one thing I'm excited about. And I think it will look great and it will taste great. And then also ice cream. I just love ice cream. I'm actually in the process of kind of reformulating some of my flavors. I just have this idea of making them a little bit lighter and a little bit more. I want more flavor intensity with less body.
Sure.
And I want to use, especially this summer, really capture kind of the ripeness of different ingredients and not I just hate when I taste strawberry ice cream and the strawberries aren't ripe and
sure.
And takes a lot, it's really hard to do that. You have to plan ahead. You have to self-ripen fruit and develop flavor and also the last thing is we make and I'm not a frozen yogurt person, but we make the most delicious soft serve and frozen yogurt that we culture in house. It's probably the only people in New York not using a mix or a powder or and so it's something I'm definitely proud of and it's really refreshing, tart in the right ways, but there's just nothing fake about it. And we use Meyer lemons that we have a greenhouse on 91st Street on top of the bakery, and we use the lemons from the Meyer lemon trees up there. So it's like a Meyer lemon Greek yogurt, and so we took out the soft serve machine, but we're bringing it back, and then we're also opening a kind of modern Mr. Softy truck at Rockefeller Center that I'm really excited about.
Amazing.
That will be, ice cream in the summer, or frozen hot chocolate and ice cream in the summer, and then hot chocolate in the winter.
Yeah. Well, listen, congratulations. Excited to see you get this thing going and adding another spot where people can get delicious treats in the city. If people want to visit or to see, what's going on at the shop, where can they go online and in person?
Yeah. I mean, you can come visit us at 1266 Madison Avenue, so 91st and Madison. Or you can look at our Instagram page for the most, up-to-date items and creations, which is Glace, Glace, no glue, NOGLU. I got to change that now that we're kind of moving it up,
Yeah.
But Glace, no glue for now. And yeah, or you can go to glossny.com. Although I also have to update the menu and especially,
All right. Well, listen, looks like you got some work to do, but I'm excited to have you on, and thank you for making the time, and shout out to Nicole for setting this up. We have another song from the archives and then a live performance here on Snacky Tunes on HRN.
wayside to put me to bedtime. Home in the cold morning, crawling out and calling. Spanish flies are waiting, evergreen they glisten. Call me daily, just to exercise my trust. We'll see how this unfolds, living together. Color of candy seems like a different taste of smoke back in the moonlit fields, living together. Shoot us a picture from melodic pictures. Time and time again we know why the tides are beautiful. Pick up your brother, father, son, and mother, standing by the wayside under the moonlight. Call me daily, just to exercise my trust. We'll see how this unfolds, living together. Color of candy seems like a different taste of smoke back in the moonlit fields, living together.
Gather your friends and family at the second annual Catskill Cuisine Festival, presented by the Sullivan Catskills Visitors Association, Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, and Resorts World Catskills. Mark your calendars for a flavor-packed weekend from May 10th to May 12th. Experience the fusion of phenomenal food and electrifying entertainment. Rub shoulders with your favorite Food Network personalities, including Andrew Zimmern, Michael Simon, Scott Conant, Marcus Samuelson, Jeffrey Zakarian, Anne Burrell, Melba Wilson, and distinguished international chefs by LaBelle Farms. Kick off the festivities with Friday's star-studded golf tournament and evening reception. Saturday heats up with free tastings, thrilling live demos, music, and family activities, culminating with a gourmet dinner hosted by celebrity chefs. And on Sunday, celebrate Mother's Day with a special celebrity-curated brunch. Tickets for this celebration are selling like hotcakes. Visit catskill-cuisine.com to grab your pass for this unforgettable weekend in the picturesque Catskills. See you there.
Rose.
Hey.
Hi. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
It's been a long time.
It's been a really long time. I was just saying to Matt earlier that I don't remember how or when exactly we met, but I know it was a long time ago, and it was in New York somewhere.
Yeah.
Summertime?
I think that
maybe?
Anything that's like longer than 8 or 9 years, I just attribute to a round.
Yeah.
And also to having a twin brother, both either together or singularly, generally was out 7 days a week forever. So
yes.
We just know everyone.
Yes.
But good to see you.
Yeah.
I always find it amazing when I reach out to bands I like yours, and be like, oh, wow. I know the people behind them.
I know that person.
So, your band.
My band.
Is really great.
Thank you so much.
And it's really interesting because a lot of your lyrics, Prima, have to deal with the kind of intersectionality of things of not being so black and white and living in the gray. Mm-hmm. How did you evolve into this mindset, and how do you run your lyrics through the filter of being in the gray?
That's a good question. I don't know that I have ever experienced life as black and white, though I've been in many scenarios in which external forces want it to be. And so I think there's like a constant narration that's happening in my head to just try to figure out how to live it, and how to try to walk those lines. And then the result is a lot of the lyrics come from a stream of consciousness place that I then have to go edit many, 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 many times.
Once they come out, like, how many revisions do the lyrics have to go through?
Oh, countless. I can't tell you how many.
Is it a point where your band members are like, 25 is good, Rose? You're like, you know what? I really think on 37, that's when we're really going to start to get
right.
to it.
Lucky number 37.
Do they continue to evolve after they're recorded?
You know what? I feel a certain loyalty to the actual like recorded fact. So once it gets to that point, I really try to not mess with it too much. I can't think of an occasion in which I changed it after the fact.
But the meaning might evolve, or they might mean different things to you.
The meaning will constantly evolve, and I think I'm glad that I feel true to a belief that I think once the song is out there and it's being received by anybody else, it's no longer my meaning, my association no longer has meaning. It's what is you, the audience, is receiving.
But when you're on stage singing, I mean, there is some meaning that is to you of the time in which you laid it down. Does it take you back into that? Does it always put you back to that mindset?
Yeah. Actually, so I think we were connected for Snacky Tunes via Jamie Fry. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Jamie Fry, I met Jamie Fry years ago. He saw a basement show that we played down in like Bensonhurst or something, and he wrote a review of Prima, and he mentioned psychodrama in the review, which is something that I had never thought of before, and it was just one of those great occasions of like someone kind of like calling you out on something, or finally giving you the language to talk about what you're doing. I have pictured countless exes, lovers, like points of contention, like out in the crowd while I'm singing the song. And that is something that does change from time to time. Sometimes the song starts about one person and then suddenly it's about somebody else.
There's never been an instance where you're imagining someone and they're actually in the audience, is there?
Maybe I shouldn't say.
We don't name names, but we need to hear stories.
Yeah, that may have happened.
Did you know they were in the audience when you started singing and then you saw them?
Yeah. There was definitely a time where I was very frustrated with a situation and also an individual. That individual certainly happened to be there. And I remember after the fact, the individual said to me, "Wow, I've never seen you so angry."
Did they know that the song was about them?
I think they figured it out.
This is like the most vague, specific story I think we've ever heard. You use like pronouns and nondescriptors. Mm-hmm. What was the song? At least the name of the song.
The song is called Master.
Oh man.
Yeah. And and there is a lyric in the song in which I say, "Just like you, buddy, I am faking it."
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they just go sit down when the song was over? Or were they just like pounding whiskey in the back? Or did they just take the shaming, the secret shaming, and just stood there and enjoyed the rest of the show?
No, I hope that they got something out of it somehow. Maybe one day, if they haven't already. I don't know. Maybe they feel flattered I wrote about them, you know?
I mean, I guess it always depends the context. I mean, I guess if you're like a narcissist, it doesn't really matter the context of the song. It's just that a song was written about you at all.
Yeah. Some people are like going for that, man.
And I know that the band has been around for a few years now. Has the gray become more gray as you've had access to an outlet and lyrics and like the defining and the middle become more middling?
The middle, well, yeah. I mean, I think in terms of just like an intellectual evolution, like the gray feels more and more relevant all the time, right?
What's a good example?
Well, politics, what isn't political, right? But I don't know, like sexuality, for instance. I feel like in my early years, there was a lot of black and white being taught to me, and I wasn't ever able to like live with it completely. And so at first it felt like a battle, right? Which is what I think a lot of the early premium material is about. And now it's just like, okay, well, like sexuality, gender, even like how you like live your life financially, how you have integrity. I don't know. As I get older and as I grow, it just seems like black and white almost seems like fallacy. Like it doesn't. Like,
yeah, I mean,
illusion.
it just seems like something that's written down on paper.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle with the black and white, and that's never been. It's never all or nothing.
Yeah.
Even though you sometimes feel that it is, it never is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it can be really useful in certain periods, in certain moments. It's like you're detaining children at the border. That's fucking wrong.
Yeah, that's very clear.
That's pretty black and white.
That's very clear.
Yeah, and so like there is utility, but I find that a lot of times, especially in terms of like personal life and inner life, it's great.
And a lot of your lyrics also do with feminine energy and the explosion of it. And I'm curious about living in the middle of like what it means to be a feminist today, and how that influences your work, and how that impacts the stage performance and what you say.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm a self-proclaimed like survivor of internalized misogyny. You know, like I absorb so much self-hate, and that is still something that I expect to like kind of grapple with my whole life. And I do recognize that comes from like multitude of outside sources that I have been permeating and growing, shifting for years and years. Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like I feel like the music that I'm creating is just like an ongoing inner monologue of coming up against these things and figuring out how I feel about them. So, and I am a woman. I identify as a woman, she, her. Yeah, that's me. So like it's through my lens, and I'm a lady. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine it otherwise. I don't think I've ever written a song from the perspective of a man. And I will say lately I've been prioritizing like my interest in female perspectives. And I like that there's more and more of them. I never felt like a minority as a person in the world or as a musician, but the more I look around, the more I see that women are underrepresented, but I see that it's a growing population, and it's really exciting. It's really cool. And I definitely am biased. I'm like, want to know what women are talking about.
Can we hear a song?
Yeah.
What are you going to play for us first?
I'm going to play Alter. I'm going to play Alter. This is a new song.
Great.
Yeah.
Here we go. Prima live on Snacky Tunes. you mentioned that you're now prioritizing the female perspective. How has Prima changed you as a person and a lyricist since its conception?
Well, Prima gave me an outlet to speak and tell stories, and before then I hadn't had one. So, yeah, it's. I feel like it's made me a better person to have a creative outlet. There's a place that I can go to put uncomfortable feelings, vulnerability, anger, passion, things that don't necessarily always belong in certain circumstances. So yeah, I mean, not to like make a case for music as therapy, but like it definitely has, it's brought a lot of people into my life. It's made a better life for me.
Where was it before Prima?
Before Prima, it was a tangle of trying to figure out how to meet other people's expectations and win approval of other folks. This was the first time I created a space for me.
And how would Prima, it's just you today, but there's 2 other band members.
Yeah.
How have they influenced it, and how have their perspectives kind of helped shaped the outlet and the output of the work?
Well, I've been super, super blessed to work with a bunch of different musicians in the context of this project. And so, like, every person along the way has, like, shifted my gaze radically, whether it was Butch Maragoni, who was the first drummer I ever played with, who was just, like, such an intense physical creature that, like, I went from having these, like, little, like, do-do-do songs to just being like, oh, my God, I can roar physically in every way through these instruments and through my voice. And he elevated me to a whole other space, right?
I feel like we all need someone to teach us how to roar.
Yeah.
Or give us permission, like a good balance where someone's just like, you can roar.
Right?
You got this. And
right?
You're like, oh my God, I can be so much louder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't there like a form of therapy, like primal scream therapy or something?
Sure. If there isn't, then it's been done.
Yeah.
Or that like very bad scene from Garden State where they just scream into the void.
I mean, have you ever screamed into the void?
I don't know if I can ever consciously say that I've screamed into the void unless it's been just like I've lost my keys at the end of a drunk night, but that's not the same. Have you screamed into the void? I've
screamed a whole bunch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I remember once this can I curse on this show? This motherfucking city was getting me so like out of my mind one winter. I was like so cooped up and crazy feeling. Remember, it was like there was snow all over the ground. It was
Prima, no outlet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is what I had to do before Prima. Put on my running shoes in the snow, ran over the Williamsburg Bridge, yelling the whole time. Like, there wasn't like I got to the top and I stopped and I screamed Garden State style. I was just running and screaming. Yeah.
And like no one, and everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, no, it does.
Doesn't
it make sense?
It does. I mean, I can imagine that like 9 people be like, what the fuck? And one person be like, I want to date that girl. I want her in my life.
Yep.
I saw this woman running on the bridge screaming and I must find her.
Wait, shit, man. Maybe I should do it again and see if it attracts a lover.
Loves running, screaming on the bridge. Yes. Not at the apex the entire time. That's pretty good lung capacity.
Yeah. Well, you got to train, right?
Train. So you mentioned your first drummer who gave you the permission to roar. What about the other bandmates?
So I worked for a period of time with a guitarist named Jessica Ackerley, who like exposed me to a world of jazz guitar and just like more experimental, more daring guitar playing, and that really like opened my eyes to the possibilities of the guitar rather than just like power chords, like building a song but not thinking about the actual notes being played. And since then since I worked with Jessica, I've always loved working with jazz guitarists because they're nerds, man, and they're real good at what they do and they practice all the time and they're so smart. So I've played with a guy named Frank Rathbone who has a band called Sick Tick. Right now I'm playing with this woman, Katie Banastoni, who is a beast, and she's amazing. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's the other wonderful thing about being a songwriter is you get to like keep on collaborating with the coolest people, and then they become part of, you know, a family.
Can we hear another song?
Yeah.
What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play a song called Susan, which I feel I need to preface by saying I have lifted these lyrics from the journals of Susan Sontag. And I don't know that I have permission to do that, but I have contextualized them in a mood, which is the song. I've named it after her. It's for her.
I think as long as you cite your sources, it's totally fine.
Right? I haven't recorded or released this song yet. I feel like maybe when I cross that bridge, I will figure out how legal this is. But until then, I'll just play the song. And it might give things away a little bit, but this was from an entry in her journals from before she left her husband and came out as a lover of women.
Kisses like bullets, soap flavored kisses. But for the kisses, for the kisses, for the kisses, for the kisses. Let go.
You have some new events coming up.
Yeah.
That are going to be salon style that talk about the intersection of poetry and music.
Yes.
Will it be live performances and live poetry reading, or will it be more about theory and form and how they intersect?
It's gonna be both. No, hi folks. We're in a little fishbowl. People eating pizza.
Yeah.
We're
all the time.
Yeah.
10 years of people watching us, or us watching them.
Is it comfortable for you now at this point? Yeah.
At
Okay.
this point, yeah. The best is when little kids come up and like run in the window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could like. They can't hear us, can they? No. Okay. Yeah. I could play them a song. The salon style moment is going to be happening with the Sound Shop community. It's this rad group of, it's led by a Yale alum who's super, super into all sorts of kinds of music. He loves bringing different musicians together to just have moments of performance and then conversation amongst like colleagues maybe you never realized you had. So his name's Ak, and I got together with him and decided that music and poetry and the intersection of how that plays out in different types of forms would be a really fun thing to explore in an evening. So we're going to have musicians who are heavily like conscious of poetry and their songwriting, and then I think we're also going to have a couple of poets read with some improvised music happening at the same time. So it should be full of conversation, which I'm hoping to like spark and also like be witness to, because these are like questions I think about all the time, but that I don't have any. I don't think that there's any answers to any questions about the intersection of music and poetry.
I mean, they're so aptly joined. Is there a specific feeling or intention you want people to walk away with at the end of these series of events? Not how it'll happen, but just an emotion or...
I'm hoping that in this moment, I can create a moment for people where they feel like there might be some like brethren around, like, oh, here are some more nerds who are interested in like the same things that I am, because I feel a lot of times when I'm in the like DIY rock community, Brooklyn music community, I find myself surrounded by people that I see as like really talented musicians and musicians and people who have been studying music their whole life, playing music their whole life. And I came to music through a more circuitous route of studying writing first. So I feel like sometimes I'm a writer's musician and sometimes I'm feeling like lonely. I'm like, where are my people? So maybe it's just a self-serving opportunity for me to try to make some friends. I don't know. But I feel like anytime I meet someone, a songwriter, like Katie, for instance, who's playing guitar in Prima right now, she has her own project called Katie the King, and she's hyper involved in a poetic process. And meeting her and hearing her work was just so heartwarming to me. I'm like, oh, there's someone else who is thinking about this stuff. So
weird to feel alone in the city.
I mean, when are you not feeling alone in the city?
There are times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I guess. How do you not feel alone? What makes you feel less alone?
Well, the people in your life.
Yeah.
And also I think just finding community, like I guess existing a part of like heritage or the work that I do or just friendship.
Yeah.
I feel like when you move here, it's very lonely. I think like the city is isolating in the day to day.
Yeah.
But I think that there are more connections here than I would say in other cities that I've been to.
Well, right. And I know that your brother moved to LA. Mm-hmm. This criticism of New York that you're raising is exactly the criticism that I hear of LA all the time. Like, it's one of the most alienating, lonely places unless you have folks who can like pull you into the fold, right? Is like, how's he doing out there?
He's great. He just had he and his wife, she did a lot of the work. she did most of the work. He was there in the beginning. But they just had a baby girl and happy and just, settled in. So
your uncle.
Uncle.
Oh.
Yeah. And they have a good community. But I don't know. I think that in this, particularly in New York, it takes a while to find the people that you connect with.
Yeah.
But when you do, they've also had like a similar struggle to be like, so when you meet them, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like we've known each other for 2 minutes and 10 years.
Yeah.
Even though you've just met, because like in the same way that you just said you met Katie, it's like, wow, I've just been doing my thing. And then when you meet, you're like, I understand your entire language and being.
Yeah. No, it's so nice. The city's so beautiful and it's so full of so many people. And I think a lot of times it's also like, it's intense and it's exhausting and you might feel the need to like protect yourself. But whenever you do go out and branch out, we're a city of misfits. So many people have fled here from so many other places. So many people grew up here and are like sticking it out here. It's just, there's so many people here. There's so many people to befriend and get along with and do things with. And just, I don't know. I'm such a hermit. I want to be at home, like reading books and writing songs. And if I do too much of that, I'll go nuts. I have to, it's like an effort to make myself get out.
You have to live in the middle.
I have to live in the middle of the gray.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We want to make sure we have time for one more song, but where can people find you, listen to your work, watch your videos, which are super rad as well and really fun,
Thank you.
and find out about your salons?
Bandcamp continues to be the place that I post music, new
love
music.
Bandcamp.
Yeah, right?
They're the best.
Can't go wrong with it.
No,
they're doing the best work.
Yeah.
So Bandcamp is always a great tool for me and a great place to go. Prima.bandcamp.com. I also tend to post weird, somewhat illicit videos on occasion on my Instagram, and that is also a place that I'm sharing information. So that is at Prima Sounds Like. But otherwise, yeah, stay tuned. There's going to be a new record and lots of fun stuff happening later this year and early next year that I don't feel totally privy to speak to.
That's fine.
But those are two places that people could go to find out more and hear
Perfect.
more. Yeah.
Well, big thanks to Christopher Cronin for coming on and talking about his new cookbook. And thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of Snacky Tunes. What's the name of the last song?
The name of the last song, and this is the newest song, is called The Witness.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll see you all next week.
I know you got it coming, so too do you. You know you can't swing that axe without it swinging back to you. I'd like to say I wouldn't wish it upon a soul, but some of us have earned a little more cosmic judgment or whatever you call it. It's the hand mouth you kiss. It's a stone in your shoe. It's knowing just what you did. The karma's coming for you. I wanna be your witness. I'm gonna be a witness. I'm gonna be a witness. I'm gonna be a witness. I wanna blow like the wind that whips your skin.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Snacky Tunes is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/
Hi, listeners. We want to tell you about a podcast we're really digging. It's called Christopher Kimball's Milk Street Radio. Every week, they travel the world to find the most fascinating stories about food, including children who harvest cod tongues after school in Norway and a detective who tracks down food thieves. And on Milk Street Radio, you can always find the unexpected. The comedian who ranks apples using an elaborate 100-point system, the secret history of grocery stores, and how to eat your way through Italy. They also interview the most beloved names in food like Jacques Pepin, Sola El-Whaley, Jose Andres, Jet Tila, Ina Garten, Nigella Lawson, and Padma Lakshmi. Plus, co-hosts Christopher Kimball and Sarah Moulton do live calls with listeners and answer their questions about ingredients, techniques, and culinary mysteries. Like, why roasting a leg of lamb made one caller's oven explode? Ever wonder why your bread won't rise or your souffle falls flat? Chris and Sarah have the answers. You'll also hear from a rotating cast of contributors, including Kenji Lopez-Alt, Cheryl Day, Dan Pashman from The Sporkful, and Alex Ainuz, a French guy cooking from YouTube. Take a listen at 177milkstreet.com/radio or just search your podcast app for Milk Street Radio.
Subscribe.